Well, good morning, class. It is Wednesday, middle of the first week of our 520 Understanding Vocation in a Changing World course. I got online this morning and just kind of double checking, seeing where folks are. Haven't heard from a lot of you, so I'm assuming that's a good sign. But I did want to make just a couple of brief comments. And here's the reason why I do a video. I do a video because I want this to feel as much as we can get it to feel, I guess, like there's this interaction between me and between you, right? So I could send a bunch of emails, and you could read a bunch of words, but there's just something different about hearing from me. Okay, if we were in class, you would obviously be hearing from me on a regular basis. So for purposes of this course, I'm going to do probably more of this brief kind of short interaction than I will long drawn out emails. Okay, so here's what I want to do in this video. I want you to spend some time. I want to encourage you to spend some time in Sakai starting today. Okay, so log in, and in doing so, you are going to get into Sakai. You're going to look on the left-hand side. You're going to notice that there's a bunch of different things on the left. If I know you're familiar with Sakai, but I want you to be familiar with this class. Okay, so you see there's the home button, and then there's the syllabus button, which you click on that, and you've already seen the syllabus, so that's good. And then you have your units. So here we are in Unit 1, and we'll go through these other components in a bit, but I really want to spend some time just right now focused on Unit 1. Okay, so we get to Unit 1. And you will notice that in Unit 1, you have the outcomes, you have the overview, and then you have some introductory activities. Okay, so these introductory activities are for you to familiarize yourself with the online course, and then read the syllabus. You'll also note that there is, right below reading the syllabus prompt, a link to click on that says Complete the Syllabus Agreement, which I do need you to do before midnight on Friday. So you have today, tomorrow, and Friday to do that. Okay, so make sure that you get that done very quickly. All right, and then you're going to read a number of things. You're going to read an article titled "Vocation: A Lutheran Understanding." So this idea of vocation, for those who may not be as familiar with this idea, and we're going to unpack this. So if you're not, that's great. That's why you're in a class on vocation. In many ways, this idea of vocation from a semantics issue or a definition issue, or even a more recognizable stance, has stemmed from the Reformation that occurred 500 years ago, actually, this year. So we're celebrating the 500-year anniversary of the Reformation with Martin Luther and so forth. And so this is just a way to kind of unpack and kind of give some descriptive language and understanding to what this idea of vocation is. So read that. Then we'll read another article, Using a Theory of Vocational Personalities and Work Environments to Explore Subjective Well-Being. Okay, so read those. You've already seen my Unit 1 video announcement. I posted that a while ago. You've hopefully seen that by now. And then there's a number of other videos that I want you to watch. So there's one titled, What We're Talking About When We Talk About Vocation. Okay, you'll click on that one, watch that. There's another one titled Learning from Dirty Jobs. This is from Mike Rowe. Okay, and this one's a briefer video. Then there's another article titled, a video titled Image Bearing Leads to Flourishing. This is by Andy Crouch. And then the last one is The Art of Career Development. Now you'll remember that I think I mentioned in my previous video, in this class, the main focus is vocation. Okay, but we do have an assignment that's due later on, toward the end of the semester, that is on career development. And so we are looking at career development through the lens, really, of vocation. Okay, and this is going to be a really important component for us to keep in mind and pay special attention to. Career development is vitally important to this class. It is not an add-on. It is not like a separate kind of, okay, we're just going to throw that, we're going to pepper that into the course. No, it's a really important component, and you do have a significant assignment that comes with that, okay? So you've got that to really pay close attention to. So watch those videos, and then your discussion, you're going to have an opportunity to provide introductions. So who are you? And I know that probably a number of you have been in classes together before already, but I do want you to do that. If not for everybody else, for me, please do that. That would be very helpful. And then you've got a response to the videos that you've watched, and then there's a 3-2-1 weekly content wrap-up. And in this 3-2-1 weekly content wrap-up, what I'm looking for, and you can get in there, but I really want to hear from you on three things. Okay, this is the assignment, and you're going to look through this, and you're going to go, what were my 3 takeaways? What were the 3 most important takeaways that you got from this week's content? Okay, what stood out to you as most important? And then what are 2 questions? What are some questions that this week's content brought up for you, from you, and so forth? So what I want to do is I want you to write these response, the takeaways, and the questions, and then the one application, which is what is something that you can put into practice immediately from this week's content. And in every week from here on out, once I've read your specifically questions, I'm then going to spend some time responding to your questions, okay? So that's going to be a really important component of what we're doing in this class. So I really want you to think really deeply as far as what questions do I have? What am I unclear on? What's maybe not unclear, but what do I want to maybe know more about? Okay, so I love this class because this is really what I spent the last probably decade of my life thinking about, studying, researching, and so forth. And so hear me, I don't have all the answers, but I have a lot of stuff, right, about this topic that's floating around in my mind. Okay, so that's going to be really important that you respond to that, so I can give you some great feedback in the following weeks of every one of these 3, 2, 1 responses. Okay, so those are all due. You can look in the syllabus to see when they're due, how they're due, what's expected of you as far as discussion, dialogue, so forth, back and forth, and all that. Okay, and then you continue down in this unit. You've got this next section that's due, and I don't know why we have a picture of a head with a bunch of gears in it as it relates to due, but we do. So we're going to work with that. And you're going to work to procure all course textbooks, watch all videos, respond to all forum discussion prompts, and engage in thoughtful dialogue with your classmates and me, your course instructor. And then you will start reading David Benner's very short, very powerful, very important book titled The Gift of Being Yourself. Okay, and you can look down at reminders, and there's a vocation and calling presentation that is due in Unit 2, so that'll be due at the end of Unit 2, and there's some very specific instructions that you click on. It gives you the details of what you need to do for that. Okay, and then if you go continue down, you'll notice that there's now a Benner book review instruction, and you can click on that, and that is due at the end of Unit 2. All right, and then the last thing to keep in mind is, especially as you look at the syllabus, is there is what we're calling a vocational profile and plan, and it will make a lot more sense, and I'm going to go over it at the end of this week, probably this weekend, once you've kind of had a week to settle in and get a feel for what this course is all about. And I really want you to spend some time reading that specifically, okay? And then you're going to spend some time this week, every week for a while, you're going to spend time in I was going to say seclusion, I was going to say isolation, but those aren't really the best words, but in solitude. Spending time thinking, praying, reflecting, meditating, just kind of what's going on? Who am I? What are my interests? What makes me who I am? How do I view my vocational identity? Right? So one of the ideas that when you talk about a course like this, I'll say this, I don't think I've said it before, we live in this culture that in many ways sets us up in some strange scenarios, right? So let me give you an example. 2007, I had finished graduate school, finished my first master's degree, and was applying for work. And I applied over the course of 9 months. 9 months. I applied for 216 jobs. Didn't get a single one of them. Had some interviews. Had some I applied for institutional university jobs. Got some on-campus interviews. Thought I had a couple of jobs in the bag. None of them panned out. So job 217, I applied for back here at APU. I had left the institution, and I was then looking to come back to the institution. And job 217 took place. Okay? And in the process of applying for 217 jobs, holding in my possession a completed master's degree, I was really struggling with my identity. I was depressed. My wife was working. I was thinking, I'm not providing for my family. Things were really just they were very hard and challenging in my life. And in hindsight, I'm like, well, it was a season. It was tough, but it wasn't the end of the world, I think, as I lived it out to be. And I remember I went to a wedding, and I was at the Ritz or the Four Seasons or some really kind of high-end hotel in San Diego. So much so that we were there, and Shaun White, the prolific snowboarder and kind of extreme sports Olympian, he rolls up in his brand new, I think it was a brand new Ferrari. probably several $100,000 vehicle, parks right out front, gets valet, and everybody's looking at this thing oohing and ahhing. And we're with a bunch of people that are my age, and all of them have these really great jobs. And then they're asking me, they come, hey Jeff, and I'm meeting a lot of my wife's friends from her growing up years. What do you do? And we all know what that question means. I think it's fair to say. What do you do? Well, what they mean is, what do you do for work? There's a lot of other things that I do. I like to go for hikes, I like to ride my bike, I like to read, I like to do all this stuff. But when that question is asked, it's almost always only referring to what we do for work. Well, if we don't have work, then how do we answer that question? Because this culture wraps so much up of who we are, what we do in, who we are and kind of our identity in what we do. So I can't remember where I read it, but I was reading a book a while back, and one of the things that it said was that work is quickly replacing religion in the lives of people as far as what gives them purpose, meaning, and identity. And I think that is so true. And so when we start to look at vocation and we unpack some of these ideas and realities of what vocation truly is, it changes the nature of how we think about work and how we think about ourselves in relationship to our work. And so we're going to go through a process, and I want you to ask yourself a lot of important questions. And as you're spending time praying and thinking and meditating and reflecting and maybe going even for a walk, I wouldn't lay under a tree and kind of stare up today because there's so much rain falling if you're in Los Angeles, and I know there's snow falling if you're in Oregon. And if there's lots of other elements falling, and maybe it's cold where you are, do something that's going to be comfortable, that's going to facilitate great deep thought and learning. I got an article today in my email, and I haven't read it yet, but the question that was posed in the subject line was, do you need a think day? And perhaps you're not in a situation that's allowing you to have a think day, but take 30 minutes to think. Every week, read through the syllabus, and I'll go over that again this weekend, give you more specifics on what's expected of you in the syllabus, but think through some of these questions. Who am I? How do I view myself in light of what I do for work? Or how do I view myself in light of what I hope to do for work once I'm perhaps done with this program and so forth? So think deeply about that. And then that's kind of what we're looking at for this week. So lots to be done. There will always be a good amount to be done each week, each unit. But all of it, and I say this in my face-to-face classes and I say in my online classes, all of it is for a purpose. I am, one of my biggest pet peeves in life is busy work, especially when it comes to having to do busy work, right? So I don't want to assign busy work because, and I'll just be frank, it's somewhat selfish. If I assign you busy work, that means that I've then created busy work for myself. And I don't want to do busy work. So why would I want to assign you busy work if I'm not? So everything has intention and purpose. And you may look at this and go, wow, this is so much. However, if you really invest in this class, what I hear again and again and again and again, and it's not because it's me teaching the class, it's me that's this great, awesome guy, but the content that we are facilitating in this class really has the potential to be transformative and to change the way that we think about not just work, but so much more of who we are and how we operate in this changing world that we're living in today. All right? So have a great rest of the week. Jump in. Get started. You've got lots to do this week, and it's not going to slow down. So if you get behind, it's really going to be hard to get caught up, and we don't want to see that happen. All right? Have a great week, and I will see you again online, and I will post another video later this week and go into more specifics on the syllabus. Talk to you soon.